J.D. Salinger, a biography. He was born January 1st, 1919. He's also known as Sonny as a child. He attended Valley Forge Military Academy in Wayne, Pennsylvania. He was drafted into the Army following the attack on Pearl Harbor. He served from 1942 to 1944. He's most known for Catcher in the Rye. After he published Catcher in the Rye, he tried his best to cut off contact with the public and slow down his writing. Some people think he has written many more novels, but they are just hidden somewhere. Hapworth was the last Salinger piece to be published while he was alive. J.D. Salinger is also the author of the short story Teddy. These are their stories.
I'm Rebecca Jones.
And I'm Gina Prue.
And we're here to describe to you what happened on October 28th. Characters involved were:
we had Theodore McArdle, he was the victim of this incident. We had Bob Nicholson, the acquaintance. Booper McArdle was the sister, and Mr. and Mrs. McArdle were the parents. This occurred on a cruise ship, and the conflict was between Teddy's views of reincarnation versus the rest of the world, or more specifically, the professors he met with. Many literary techniques are used throughout this story. One is foreshadowing. Teddy talked about his death 3 times throughout the story. One was as he was leaving his parents' room, and he said, "After this, I may only remain in the minds of my acquaintances." A metaphor is also used throughout the story. The orange peel was a metaphor for Teddy's death. As he said, if he wasn't there to see the peel sink, it might not have. This is similar to the way Teddy died, as we are not explicitly shown his death throughout the story. 2 significant quotes are given throughout the story. One is, poets are always taking the weather so personally. They are always sticking their emotions in things that have no emotions. The other quote is, if I were God, I certainly wouldn't want people to love me sentimentally. It is too unreliable. Both quotes are given by Teddy. It shows that Teddy is not connected with this world, which reinforces the idea of nirvana, the whole belief system that he believes. Let's get into historical context. It's 1952, and it's very strange to be any kind of Eastern religion, especially showing reincarnation during this time period. The U.S. was in its stereotypically atomic family stage. The book is controversial as it takes a slash at American families and their materialistic views. Various literary techniques are used throughout the story. One includes foreshadowing. There's about 3 examples of foreshadowing through this story about how Teddy predicts his death.
Now to Ricky Nelson with the parents.
Yesterday on October 28th between 10 and 11 a.m., a young Theodore McArdle was found dead in the bottom of a swimming pool on a local ship. I'm here to speak with the grieving parents, Mr. and Mrs. McArdle, about the tragic events that took place yesterday. Mr. and Mrs. McArdle, I'm so sorry for your loss. Tell me, where were you when you heard the news?
We were enjoying a nice morning, eating breakfast in our stateroom, when someone came to the door and informed us of this horrific incident.
I can't believe this happened. I'd do anything to kiss his head
Hush now, honey,
again.
let the man ask us questions.
Was he acting strange at all the last time you saw him?
A little bit. He told me after I leave, I may only exist in the minds of my acquaintances.
And when was the last time you got to see your son?
I think he was on his way to swimming lessons.
Okay. How was your relationship with your son?
It's pretty good, father-son relationship. I'll give him about $50 a week just to, do what he wants. I was a pretty good father,
What do you 2 plan to do now?
Probably just gonna mourn like any father would do after his son is dead,
And finally, if there was anything you could say or do with your son again, what would it be?
I just want to go throw the old pigskin in the backyard. Just have a good time with him.
Thank you for answering these questions in this troubling time. Good afternoon, Mr. Nicholson. I'm Detective Cranston, and this is my partner, Detective Macklin. We're here to ask you some questions about the death of Theodore McArdle.
Please state your name and age for the record.
Bob Nicholson, age 30.
Okay, so Mr. Nicholson, where were you between 10 and 10:30 a.m. on October 28th?
I was just sitting on the pool deck, having a nice day, drinking mimosa, just, hanging out.
And is this when Teddy came up to speak to you?
No, he didn't come to speak to me. I went over to speak to him.
Okay. What did you guys talk about?
Well, he is a pretty religious guy, even though he may not seem like it. I just had questions about him. So he talked about this incident when he was age 6, when he met God. And so I was kind of skeptical about that. I didn't know what he meant by that. So he kind of got into it more, and he just kind of explained his beliefs.
What did you and Teddy talk about?
Well, we talked about religion. I am a teacher, and so I occasionally listen to tapes, podcasts. I like to read newspapers and other just articles about different students. And so there are these Lydecker tapes. Interviews of Teddy in Europe on his trip where different theology professors were talking to him about religion. So that's mainly what I talked to him about.
Okay. How was Teddy acting while this was going on?
He was pretty nonchalant. He was not really super interested, but he would still respond to me.
And what happened after you guys finished your conversation?
Well, he had to go to swimming practice.
Did he seem in a hurry at all? Anything out of the ordinary?
Not really, but he did tell me about an incident where he says that his sister's going to push him in the pool and he will die by breaking his neck.
So, Mr. Nicholson, do you think that this was an apparent suicide, or do you think this was some kind of self-fulfilling prophecy?
No comment.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Nicholson. You're free to go. I think it's the third door on your left out of here for the visitor exit. Thank you for coming.
Thank you. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.